Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the City of Healing. This is Sinette Natura Angela, and it is a beautiful Saturday. And I hope that you all have lots of amazing things to do today. I myself, for one, do. And let's start by showing you the outfit of the day. And basically, it's just a very, very comfortable jumpsuit. And I love jumpsuits. I love clothes, period. But specifically, jumpsuits are so easy and I think fashionable. And this is made out of very light material, very loose fitting, very comfortable, which is, like I mentioned before, a priority for me. And just have my hair up, I haven't cut it anymore, but I just basically got it folded and tucked and pinned up. And this side, of course, is still shaved. I haven't shaved that down any. And I look shiny. I don't have a lot of oil and grease on. I don't know why I look so shiny, but I do. But anyway, I have one of my favorite earrings on of a tree, the tree of life, and little jewelry, and just some plain brown flats. Now I could have worn it with some white sandals, some yellow sandals, but I didn't want to be that colorful today. And basically, I'm just preparing and cooking right now macaroni and cheese, pounds and pounds of macaroni and cheese. That's what one of the things people like for me to cook and bring to a party or a cookout. And we're celebrating a Memorial Day in my hometown today, and I have been commissioned to do the macaroni and cheese. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making like two large, like 15 by 16 pans of macaroni and cheese. And I just made it last week, but not as much. But anyway, I'm making more now, and I don't usually make that big of a pan, but my brother-in-law said just double the ingredients. I was like, okay, whatever, because I don't usually taste my food. I usually, what they say, go by rhythm cooking. I don't use recipes usually unless it's for bread or something like that, or cake, where you have to have the exact amount of certain things. But anyway, I wanted to come forth and talk about trees. Trees do speak, they do talk, they do communicate. Just because it's not in the language that we understand or verbal, of course, they are talking all the time. And trees are more than just what we see as just a plant or something just growing out of the ground that has a trunk and leaves. All plants, all flowers, all grass, all trees are living beings, and specifically trees because they are so rooted. I think metaphysically, I believe they are, so to speak, our ancestors, in which their bodies have been implanted into the ground and grown into the roots and become the existence of trees with consciousness, which is profoundly true. I can go under certain trees and get different feelings and vibrations from the tree as to, not that it's talking to me, but how I feel, around the tree, the energy that a tree is emanating to me. And, the trees around me all the time are very calm, and there are some trees when I walk in the neighborhood that have certain sicknesses and illnesses, and some trees appear very confused and angry. I mean, it's just like energy with a person that you can feel. If you all are familiar with, feeling people's aura or their energy. It's the same difference, I feel. So when people talking about life, of course, animals have life, and if you consider the animals are slaughtered, when they are killed, then you are right by not eating them. If you eat animals, it should be more of, if if you feel that way, it's up to you, of course. Um, what you think of your food is exactly what the food is going to represent for your body, because all plants, animals, flowers, fruit have life. Have you ever held a watermelon? I feel very guilty sometimes about splitting open a watermelon because of that high vibrational energy that it radiates, and also with coconut as well. Anyway, back to trees. But anyway, one of my favorite things are trees. I love sitting underneath a tree. And I think about 2 years ago, I had this profound experience. Well, a few, but specifically, I was sitting in my backyard and I heard this rumbling in the tree. And then all of a sudden, I saw fall out of the tree was a squirrel, and directly in behind it was a hawk. And that hawk started eating away at that animal for dear life. And I was like, at the time I was a vegetarian, I was like, oh no, I'm a vegetarian, what do I do? So I was looking around me so I could scare it away, and I was saying things to it, but it did not budge. It was basically just eating, and it wanted me to see it. And as if the trees around me had leaned in and were also kind of daring me to do anything about it. And I was just kind of, so to speak, made to watch this experience of nature taking its course. Um, Trees are also, they speak in a way um, that allows us to feel instead of hear vibrations of the universe. And also depends on where you are. If you take deep breaths, you can inhale, because trees, the leaves are the alveoli and the bronchioles of the earth. That's how she's breathing, and we are breathing life from her as well. Um, Depends on where you are. You can take deep breaths and feel um, the breath of Mother Universe, and what Mother Earth rather, and what we inhale inside of our own lungs, which looks very familiar to trees. So yes, trees do have vibration, they do have frequency, they do communicate, and they are extraordinary. I love trees. I love sitting underneath trees, enjoying the shade, the communication. And a while back, I was sitting under one of my favorite trees that's up the street. And I was thinking of one of the mother um, trees. And that tree is what they call Mother Ayahuasca. No, I've never done ayahuasca. No, I've really never done any drugs, really, or alcohol, or marijuana, any type of alcohol. Not to say I don't take a sip here and there of like a wine cooler or wine or something like that, but I'm not a drinker or a drug user or anything. I basically have a just straightforward life. But Mother Ayahuasca, I believe, is speaking to me, even though she's way in Peru, so to speak. There's some type of communication. So I was under that tree up the street thinking about that, and I was like, would I try ayahuasca? And so with me, if y'all don't know, I already have, I guess, natural DMT, where I can basically feel and have out-of-body experiences, astral travel, without any problems whatsoever. And imagine things in my head, different colors and shapes and patterns, is just not hard for me to do at all. So I was like, what would Mother Ayahuasca have to show me? And then all of a sudden, the tree started shaking, vibrating. And I said, wow, it's a windy day. So I looked over at the other trees, and none of the other trees were shaking and vibrating. I was like, wait a minute. And she kept doing it. I was like, okay, all right, okay. So I kept looking. I went out. Oof. I guess it don't want me to tell that story. So sorry about that. I'm not going to redo this. So I went out and to see what it was, if the other trees were blowing, but I didn't see it, that the wind, you know. So I went back underneath the tree and I got this feeling. I didn't hear a voice that basically said, you know, well, I think it wants me to walk over there, so that's what I do. I walk towards the tree. It said, if you think you want to try it, come on. And I'm thinking, like, what else could I possibly learn or see or that Mother Ayahuasca? Because I already have these things that happen to me anyway. And this knowing inside of me just said, well, come on and you'll see. I was like, wow. So now I'm considering, but I don't know if that's something that I would pursue. But I'm very much so open to it. And if you all are not familiar with Mother Ayahuasca, basically it's from the vine or the trunk of a tree in Peru, sacred tree. And millions of people are now, Western medicine is becoming more and more aware of it and the effects that it has on people with addictions and depression. And basically, Mother Ayahuasca, it has high in serotonin, you know, and they haven't thoroughly finished the research that they have on it, but that's their scientific rationale. But there have been lots of spiritual testimonials as to the effects and the benefits that it has on the body. And of course, there are some negatives also, you know. And trying different things, we also have to consider the negative effects that anything, even in the States, that, you know, has on our body, like the negative effects of pharmaceuticals, certain herbs, certain foods, you know, everything's a risk, even driving, even eating, even going out of your house and going to the store is a risk. So everyone that's tried ayahuasca hasn't had a negative effect, and everyone that has tried it hasn't had a positive effect, you know. But I believe what Mother Ayahuasca does is that basically it allows you to look deep within yourself. And they say it's a hallucinogen, and it's sometimes combined with the chucana plant, which is the leaves of the chucana plant, and buchacha, which is basically tobacco, I believe. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I will. But this is one of my favorite trees. Very calming, very motherly tree. And yeah. But yeah, sometimes this is a neighbor's tree. I'm not sure if it's their tree or not, but they don't usually say anything when I sit underneath here. And I would do more of my videos here, but I'm not sure if this is, you know, a good thing to do. But anyway, I love this tree. It's so shady during the summertime and the spring. And again, you know, ayahuasca, back to ayahuasca, Mother Aya. But she allows us to look deep within ourselves and bring up our greatest fears, our greatest worries, and allow us to um, face them and deal with them. And you can always set your own intentions and have an expectation as to what it's going to do for you. And realize that, this is not a fear. You know, let love guide you and not fear. Just keep that in mind. And again, I'm again thinking about it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it. You know, I know that when you ingest it, perhaps there's a lot of purging or bringing up things, not only the food or the toxic feeling it has on your digestive system, but you're bringing up and purging a lot of things. And there are some very good shamans, but there are also a lot of people that basically want your money. Now that a lot of people are aware of it, a lot of people are just doing it for the financial gain. And that's how I believe sometimes some negative aspects. So you have to do your research and you have to know your shaman. And a lot of people these days are calling themselves shamans, but I haven't really met a real shaman. And when people tell me that they are shamans, I was like, oh, really? And I don't question that, because we are allowed to call ourselves whomever we please. You just have to prove it when the person asks if they're seeking something from you. But, a shaman, in my opinion, is someone that's born with the gift of connecting with spirits, and they're chosen by their community, and they study and practice for years and years different types of plant medicine. They are allowed to be alone for some time and just communicate in the jungle. And a lot of this ayahuasca is being taken out of the jungle into, the states, so that people can practice this sacred uh, ritual, which is really just basically, it is a ritual of which, you're taking the medicine under supervision of a shaman and some helpers, and um, you are also put in a comfortable environment, and also the ikros are sung to you. And what ikros are basically songs that the shaman sings to communicate with spirits, and your spirit, so that the medicine can work within you. And you hear that? Not a lot else is going on, but this tree is something. But that's basically what the ikros are allowed to do, and that's so profound. And I believe if a shaman really knows how to communicate with spirit with ikros or song or spiritual song, that is the most profound experience of the ayahuasca experience. So if you are going to consider, I would want to go to Peru to actually have the experience done if I decided to do it. But me, myself, I don't know the name for it, what I am, but I am so connected, if I allow myself with spirit, that my experience, I feel, would be very, very deep, something that I have not ever experienced before. So I have to be serious and ready for what Mother Ayahuasca is going to show me, because, um, you know, they say she comes in the form of a snake and show you different aspects of yourself and bring up your greatest fears, your worries, and you're allowed to deal with them. But as I mentioned, ayahuasca is full of serotonin. So the effects afterwards are very good. And also a side effect, if you have too much, serotonin lives in your gut and in your brain, but mostly in your gut. It's going to make you vomit. And also the chukuna plant also helps as well. And the muchacha, you know, is other tobacco, not the tobacco that we smoke here in the States, but a very sacred plant. It's a very sacred and spiritual experience that I feel if I'm a spiritual person and eventually going to be um, a spiritual healer, then I would have to try it in order to recommend or see what it really has to offer. So I'm very interested in it, and I'm highly, highly thinking about it. And I wouldn't be surprised if by next year that I'm doing it and able to document it and share on this platform that I have presented on for the City of Healing. So I hope you all are um, considering and will consider and do your research on ayahuasca before practicing, and not being desperate just to trust anyone in the States, but actually go to the source in Peru, the jungle, the sacred land where there are real shamans to help you with the experience. And of course, I didn't know about ayahuasca maybe 2 years ago. Just learned about it maybe 2 years ago. 3 years ago, maybe didn't know that much about it. And imagine how many other things that are similar to this in places like Tibet and Africa and Peru that do the same things. And shamans are so gifted in this aspect. And I know there's a shaman for me. I'm not going to go looking for him. He's going to find me, or she's going to find me. We need more women, because this is a female aspect of the plant that you, if you tried it, will recognize. That's what I've gathered for, and that's what I feel. And looking at the plant just on the screen or the YouTube channel, or reading about it on documentaries, the plant looked kind of confused and a little hurt. So I'm not sure what that was about, but I will go for it and have to see myself and make my own decision from there. And I'm very excited about that aspect of a venture of going forward to see, because we naturally, as I mentioned, produce DMT ourselves. And I guess I have a lot of DMT and I don't really need that much, but hopefully I will be able to have a very loving and spiritual shaman that will give me the best experience, so that I'll be able to share my experience. So I'm looking forward to it. And if you all have any experiences with ayahuasca, if you know anything about ayahuasca, feel free to share. And like I said, there's different other plants that we don't even know of that do the same thing, that are going to be coming forth, like my mother ayahuasca as well. And hopefully we are not abusing her, is my concern. So, and I've had, experiences, with my sacred medicine woman course, in which, we didn't have any DMT, but there were a lot of unexplained spiritual things that happened, that I myself, and I feel that I'm a very down-to-earth person, that it happened spiritually, that there was no scientific way that I can explain that happened. And I will be talking to one of my coworkers at work, who's very, very scientific, excellent, smart gentleman, that, basically a genius, and that would talk about more about his experience being scientific and some of his spiritual encounters as well, and how he links the two, or how he don't link the two. But basically they are one or the same. It's just subjective to the individual, or how you wish to see it. Anyway, I just wanted to come forth to share that trees do speak, They are definitely alive. They are our ancestors, whether familiar or not. They are deeply rooted and can connect with the underground of the bodies that have been planted there probably years and centuries ago to become that tree of knowledge that we all have access to, and hopefully we do not abuse. Anyway, this is Angela. Just wanted to come forth and share that. And I hope you all going to have a beautiful Memorial Day. I'm going to finish cooking. I'm not going to eat too much. And I've been doing a lot of walking, doing some meditation, not a lot of meditation, a lot of yoga, and just getting in touch with myself, finding my direction as to the next step that I will be taking. And as the new moon approaches, I will have that agenda written and prepared to go forward. Anyway, thanks for visiting the city, and I hope you all have a beautiful Memorial Day. Take care of yourself and be blessed.